face the ball than face the
Face
flat
the
Earth.
flat Earth, yeah. It's a big deal.
Really all
I think
that
people would kill themselves over the flat Earth. Come on.
Yeah, they would probably go in front of NASA and self-immolate with gasoline.
No.
I still say it's a ball because I hold it on religious grounds.
But what would you do, Jake? You wouldn't kill yourself, right?
No way.
Exactly. Not that big of a deal, yeah? You're not that invested in the ball.
I would create a cruise line and that would be called Circle the Flat Earth.
Why don't you get it done and try it now?
Because no one will believe that it's flat.
You get like 12
But
people.
once everybody knows it's flat, then you can start have marketing to take advantage of this newly discovered fact about reality. Like, hey, it's a flat Earth. Let's all cruise it.
You think you'd be allowed to? What makes you think you'd be allowed to?
And then our first ship will be called Flat 1, and then Flat 2, Flat 3.
Then obviously the flagship would have to be called The Truth.
Or NASA, or we could name them like NASA Lies. Why would they lie?
Well, you know why they would lie, right? Still wouldn't know why you would still be thinking, why would they lie?
Well, hopefully we can find out what the dome's made of, and then we can utilize that material to do some fucking amazing engineering. Oof.
They probably already are.
Yeah.
Well, as my granny used to
all
say,
the rockets we found stuff of it, you'd think we'd have pieces by now.
well, as my granny
I
used to say,
they launched a nuclear weapon at it during Starship Prime, right? So, we should have like chunks that rain down from that nuclear weapon, right?
Yeah, but anything advanced is not for the public, is it?
Isn't it?
Advanced technology? No, of course not.
What advanced technology are you talking about, Kimo?
That the elite would make use of.
You think military spec is like the be-all and end-all? No, military spec's shit. It's the cheapest way we can do the job.
No, I'm talking about the 1%.
But the 1% change hands like all the time, Chemo. Like people that are in the top 1% fall out, and in a few years, and then there's somebody else. Like it must suck being you, really, not knowing.
No, it's great knowing the truth. So
The thing is, you haven't said anything truthful since I got here.
that's because you're suffering from cognitive dissonance.
No, I'm just sitting back listening to you and your what ifs, maybes, and could be's, and it's rather boring.
You've just heard Jake say that most people would kill themselves if it turns out it's flat.
Actually, he didn't say that. He said that Beach probably would, but
I'd kill myself.
You would kill
I
yourself,
would embrace
people.
it.
What?
I'd embrace it.
Oh, right. I don't think Beach would kill himself.
Embrace it.
I think.
Problem is,
no, I would just be wondering, like, what the fuck, happened where,
Someone like
because
like,
mathematics, the way that mathematics works, is like, oh shit, it was completely fucking backwards. Yet, all of these multi-million-dollar projects that I do every year, fucking seem to work.
Yeah. So what? Talking about killing yourself over flat Earth. Why would you do that?
No, I wouldn't.
Not you,
the
but
question
just-
I would have. No, you said everybody would. You said Jake said the majority of people would kill themselves,
Well,
and
no,
that's
he
not
didn't
what he
say the
said.
majority. I'm saying that, but a lot of people would go that or think about it at least.
No, actually, life would go on, and nobody would really give a fuck. But some of us in certain industries would go, how the fuck does that actually work? Because the mathematics that actually demonstrate that the Earth is indeed a globe, which turned out to be flat, our project still worked within the specs and the tolerances required.
Yeah,
How the fuck is that?
I'd be interested.
But nothing works because of a globe anyway. It's not because of a globe why things
No,
work.
it absolutely does.
Because Chemo. No matter how far away the sun goes, or how big or small you make the sun, people would still be able to see it 24 hours a day everywhere on Earth.
That was an awkward statement about because of the globe. But anyway, suicide would be the last thing on most of our minds, because if the Earth were somehow flat, everybody would be filled with, a curiosity and a desire to find out what's
in the house.
going
What's
on.
up, man?
And see the edge. I want to see the
Yeah,
edge.
calm down, Don.
Yeah, but Code, I think you've prepared yourself. The guys here have prepared themselves for the possibility of flat Earth. Most people are not ready for that.
No, I've heard this from many people.
Got bad news for you, Chemo. Don't kill the messenger.
Is it DMX or the Prince?
Well, it's like as the messengers, Chemo, we need to be careful. You know what I mean? Like, not to act like, we actually did the science, right? But that boy Anton, he be putting all the science out that they did and shit. They talk about hollow Earth now, Chemo. It might not be flat, man. It might just be hollow, bro. They might have to rewrite the school
Not flat
textbooks.
or hollow. How about that?
I don't know, man. Anton's talking big shit about the hollow Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck is Anton? And that was a
Anton,
question.
bro. We got a new core, boys. The school textbooks
Okay, well,
gotta
again,
be
who
rewritten.
the fuck is Anton, and what makes you think he's putting out science?
I'd like to direct everybody to 38 after the minutes and debate.
That
That's
looks like
38,
CGI.
that's 38 minutes after 38 minutes after the hour, not
That looks like CGI, Don.
38 after the minutes.
38 after the minutes. Shut up.
Yeah, 38 after the minutes.
How are you getting hollow Earth out of this?
I'm telling y'all, all y'all gotta do is watch for 18 seconds.
You're not
Y'all's
answering
mind's
my
gonna be
question.
blown.
How are you getting hollow Earth out of this?
So you watched Homeboy's video. What makes you think it's hollow? Tell us, like, in less than 30 seconds.
If I hear the man telling me they're gonna rewrite the school books, I'm joining Team Chemo. Chemo, let's spread the real message. Okay, let's spread the real message, Chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Don, is there anything that you like a direct question that you can answer directly ever?
Yes, sir.
Don, I fear that you're working for the dark side.
Then why the fuck are you avoiding every question that's been proposed to you with that should have a simple explanation?
Don.
Chemo, the light shall come out. The truth
There
is
you go.
hidden in plain
Exactly.
sight, Chemo. Chemo, the truth is hidden in plain sight. They're gonna try to tell us it's one or the other. Either they're gonna rewrite the school books for more fuckery to prop up the globe, or they're leaking out more secrets about the globe.
Do you know what it takes to have an addition or even a subtraction from a school book? Do you know what it takes, Don?
No.
No, exactly. Okay.
We're here arguing whether or not the Earth is flat with these people, and as of today, we're landing things on Mars, little helicopters on Mars.
Can you prove that you've landed on Mars? Can you prove it?
Can I prove it?
Do you know
I
that
haven't been to Mars.
conservation
But
of
it's-
momentum proves you can't even
There's an
fucking talk
entire
to Mars?
industry.
You don't even know what the fuck's
There's an
going on.
entire
You talk
industry
about that.
dedicated to it.
Get the fuck out.
How does that work?
Is he stoned again?
Me and Chemo are gonna team up. Chemo, I'm not on the dark side. I hear him just wanting you to be the scientist when you're just a messenger, Chemo. I hear them they're trying to do it to me now, right? We gonna team up. Don't kill the messengers, guys.
No, and we hear no. We really are gonna kill the messenger because you ain't saying shit.
This is 2 days old. You guys had this for 2 days. You ain't told us nothing about Hollow Earth. Nothing. Anton's known
You ain't
about it.
saying nothing.
And when
Imagine-
asked a direct question, and actually haven't been, this is really the first day that I've been here because I'm actually off work already.
Isn't there a movie
I asked
that
you
just
to
came out?
explain it's something that you could be able to, that you should be able to explain in 30 seconds. You did nothing but avoid it. So I'm going to shoot the messenger.
I'm going to
I'm going to
know
shoot the
why
pigeon.
they're going to rewrite the textbooks, Patrick. You have high ambitions for me. I didn't know you cared so much.
Isn't there a
Imagine
movie that
teaming up
That
with
isn't
Newcomers.
what I said. I said explain. You were asked a direct question by Kurt of where do you get Hollow Earth out of this? And you avoided the question.
Pure,
You
why
avoided
did you just lie to us?
I'll repeat the answer,
Why
sir.
did you just lie to us, Pure? Like you weren't here yesterday and the day before that and the day before that.
Hey, King Kong versus Godzilla, that new movie.
I didn't. I said I really haven't been here, and being there for about 35 minutes isn't really
you were
being
here.
here, Keith.
All right, you were here. Just to clarify, you were here.
So the words that I said is I really haven't been here except for today because I'm off work already.
But you were here yesterday, the day before. Really
I
were here.
really
yesterday.
wasn't here listening in, and
You were
maybe
here, but you
giving
weren't
you some
really
shit
here.
really isn't being
were here,
here.
but you weren't
this
really
morning.
here.
For about 5 minutes while I drove to work.
But he wasn't really here. He
Ooh.
was here, but he wasn't really here.
Straight
Yeah,
ghosted.
being here 5 minutes while I'm driving to my job site. Ooh, fuck.
You're not a man about science, so you can't talk science when you're talking engineering, you know?
What would you know about engineering, Chemo?
That's what I'm saying. We know about science. We have engineers who do engineering.
What would you know about engineering and whether it requires science or not?
Saying Pure is more of an engineer,
So nothing.
not
Okay.
a scientist, right?
You're just talking shit. Okay, got it.
'Cause that's the only way you're going to know.
No, anybody who does science is a scientist, you retard.
Well, it depends on what method you're using.
Anybody who does science is a scientist. So
What,
you
like
could be a
Brenda-
scientist
like
if you
Brenda
got off
and
your-
her shoe?
off your little fat ass, maybe.
Brenda sees a shoe. Is that science? Is it?
You took that out of context. I knew exactly what she was talking about.
What was she talking
Natural
about?
versus unnatural. So
So tell me, science a shoe for me.
science a shoe. You want me to go back through Brenda's argument?
No, I want you to
You
use
didn't even get
your
it the first
argument.
fucking
No,
time.
use your method.
Why would I go through this the second time when you can't even understand it the first fucking time?
To go through your method of this shoe. You see a shoe, do some science.
Why would I go through Brenda's method with you again?
Not
dude?
Brenda's
Get a
method.
You didn't even understand
Chemo, get a
it.
hypothesis. And the dependent variables.
I have no
and
claims
the,
about a shoe. All I said
Chemo?
is anybody who
I hear
does
you, Jeremy.
science
Yeah, we're gonna
is
get
a
all of that. We're
scientist.
gonna
do it in that order.
Holy shit.
That's the order we wanted
Hey,
in. Hypothesis,
if you Google
hypothesis,
non-science,
then dependent.
you'll get
Shut
a
up,
list.
B-ball.
A
tell
janitor
Chemo
can be a
something.
scientist if he really wants to and wants to put in the work and not be lazy as fuck. A janitor
Chemo.
can be a scientist.
If he follows the scientific method, yeah.
Hypothesis,
Give us an example of where
dependent
the
variables,
janitor
and
is
independent
doing a
variables. Very
full-fledged
specific
experiment.
in that order.
Also, a guy who has stolen valor, he could be a scientist.
Give us an
too.
example of
If he
an
really
actual
wanted to,
full-fledged
and
experiment.
wasn't
Just like
lazy
as a
fuck.
breath of fresh air, we want to make sure you guys know how to do science. So give us it doesn't even have to be anything with flat Earth. Just give us a good scientific experiment. Let's
No,
run
we
through
want
the
the
steps.
hypothesis.
Like,
then the
what
dependent
experiment did
variables,
they
then
do
independent
to
variables. Not
Wait.
just an experiment.
So Percent is asking Cosmonaut a question, no?
Yeah, just
No, he said
any
you guys.
random
I'm not a
scientific
guys.
method, step by step. Show us how it works with any hypothesis or experiment you want. Doesn't have to do anything flat Earth, globe Earth. Just so we know,
www.google.com.
we can hear it.
Enter in the box scientific experiment, and then hit enter, and you'll have
No,
millions
but
of
be
entries.
creative and do it yourself.
But here we are, too lazy to even do the simple work, and instead
No, I
you're
think
on
he's
Discord
calling out your
answering dumb fucking
personal-
questions.
Describe your personal scientific method.
It's just for the benefit of the room. We hardly ever actually hear real science, so do it.
Why
Tell us
would I
your
prove something
repeatability.
that's easily looked up to you? It's not like you're going to understand it. You're not going to process it. Excuse me. You're not going to process it. You're not going to even. You're going to come back tomorrow and ask the same dumb questions, no matter what I say.
I think Flatsoy.
When has Percent ever shown you that he can't process something? Why would you say that?
When he comes back and asks the same question,
why would you lie?
Right. Why would they science? Why would they say? Flatsoy, you were saying something, I think. Still here.
All I heard was this kid screaming in the background.
Because we think that you guys have no idea how to do science. That's why we're asking you the question. See? And what we're finding...
Why the fuck would we care what you guys think about us?
Well, you're going to think the same thing about you.
He's so dramatic.
Well, hold on. You're going to think the same thing.
No, I just thought it was funny the way he worded it. Like, we think that you guys don't know about science, therefore you have to jump through hoops.
It sounds like you got it on your shoulder or something.
Alright, Cosmo, let Bieber talk. Yeah,
I can't hear whoever's mic that is. It is really low.
Bieber, sounds like you're talking into a box.
Yeah, it's a bit bubbly or goggly or goggly or something. Like, whoa.
Can you hear me now?
Chemo. I have a quick observation for you. If
Oh,
I go out my
hello.
front door, if I go out my front door and there's no Shelby Cobras in my housing community, why do I need anybody to verify that there are none? Why can't it just be me and me tell you? Why do I have to film it or have other people verify?
You don't. You can't just tell me.
Good. There are none. Do you believe me?
Part of the scientific method is it being repeatable. It needs to be repeatable.
Yeah,
I need to go there and be able to
I
see
can go
no
outside
Shelby
every
Cobras.
single. I can go outside my door every single day, which I have when I go to work, and there are no Shelby Cobras. I observed.
Then why are you thinking of
there are
Shelby
no
Cobra?
Cobras. Therefore, there are no Shelby Cobras.
Where have you seen a Shelby Cobra for you to even think of it?
I've seen them in real life. I saw them when I lived in Logan, Utah.
Exactly, at your home, lawyered.
I don't live in Utah anymore, but anyway.
Yeah, but it's still your home at one point.
Great. No, I saw them at car shows. I've seen them in real life. Therefore, I know they exist, and I know, and I've observed day after day that they don't exist in my neighborhood.
Okay, but where'd you see it recently for it to be fresh in your mind, to be the first thing that you come up with?
I could say that about any type of car.
But you said Shelby Cobra. Why?
I could say that about a Lamborghini.
But you said Shelby Cobra. Why?
Because it's my favorite car. But I could.
All right, there we go. We got to it.
Like
Got there in the end,
I could have
Chris.
said Lamborghini. I could have said Porsche. I could have said Ferrari. I could have said Toyota Corolla. It doesn't matter.
Supercharged Shelby Cobra is nice.
A 427, yes. Anyways, Cherry Red 1967.
Damn.
Anyways, that's beside the point. I can go outside and observe that those things aren't in my neighborhood.
Sounds like your problem. If it's your favorite car, you should, manifest the actuality that you want.
Chris, we're talking about science, Chris. Science.
I know. The first object of science is an observation.
And experiment.
I'm observing there are no Shelby Cobras, and therefore I can, in my neighborhood, and therefore I can conclude that there are no Shelby Cobras in my neighborhood because I've.
But you don't actually know that.
Day after day.
No, that's a negative claim, and you don't actually know that. Someone could have a Shelby Cobra in their garage, hidden. Like they don't use it ever. They're super careful about it, and you wouldn't fucking know. You can't make a claim like that with absolute certainty unless you have omnisciency, a negative claim. So you can't say that.
It's not a negative claim.
You said there's no Shelby Cobras
in my neighborhood.
Yeah, and I'm saying there might be one in a garage somewhere. You don't know.
I'm really glad Percent just argued our point that there's
West
no
side.
scientific proof for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. You learn a lot from me.
Right, Chris, you've got the observation, but you've got no experiment. Alright? So you need an experiment for it to be science.
Why do I have to have an experiment?
Because that's the definition.
Yeah, because if it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
And how do you know it's wrong if you don't have an experiment?
Exactly. You can't just look at something like Brenda and say, there's a shoe.
What other way can you figure out something's wrong? What other way do you figure out besides experiment?
Okay, if I go outside my front door, like I have every day, and see the sun and observe the sun, do I need to experiment to test to see if the sun's there, or do I actually see the sun?
Yes.
No, if you're making a claim about cause and effect, then yes.
The sun exists and it heats the ground.
But then that's not science, is it? You're just making an observation.
Hey, Chemo. Hey, Chemo, where's your...
where I live?
Has there ever been anything that's non-physical be able to produce heat?
Well, apparently Chemo's God, but I would love to see where, since you're the one with the positive
What do you mean
claim,
light is non-physical and it produces heat?
Where is
You guys
the
can't
experiment
handle
for
physical.
your God?
You can't handle physical.
Is light physical?
Hey, percentage, why don't you shut the fuck up and stop talking right over the middle of my sentence, you cunt?
I didn't actually. Someone else
you
talked, then
fucking
Dawn
did.
talked,
You
and then
did.
I talked.
You did. I
No, it
was
was
talking.
one person, then Dawn,
And I
then
asked,
me,
and no, it
you weren't
wasn't.
even
I
talking.
asked.
You weren't
No,
even
you did.
talking.
You did, Poe.
No, I
Jumped
didn't.
in.
Listen,
Even
listen
when
to
he's
it.
talking, he's
Chill
not
out.
talking.
Oh, everybody, just calm down. Take turns. Talk. Talk.
My
in
observation
turn.
is that
I haven't
Poe talked over people.
Okay, where
because
were
you
we?
fucking did.
Where were we? Science,
I was
science,
asking
pure.
you a question about your scientific method with your positive claim. Where is the scientific method and the experiment for your God?
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Sad.
Being silly now. We're talking about science, observation. We don't observe God, we feel God. That is to do with your consciousness and spirituality. Nothing
God
to
is
do with the
logic. I don't
physical
feel God.
world. Okay? We can't do science on that. But what we can do science on is the heliocentric model, supposedly, allegedly. Now, obviously, we'd like some science to support the heliocentric model. Yes.
Where's the scientific experiment for any of the 100 positive claims that you make every fucking day?
Pick one.
Exactly. Clueless.
That atmospheric pressure requires a container.
That's kind of like God. You know, creation is a creator is the necessary antecedent for creation. Container is necessary antecedent for gas pressure.
Wrong. I said atmospheric pressure.
Holy shit! You cannot.
How big does a container have to be?
Universal.
So,
is the universe
let's
an
say-
isolated system or is it an open system?
Let's say-
Look
let's
how
say a
fast they
pipe with
broke
gas.
down.
Let's say a pipe with no top.
Is the universe an isolated system or not?
The very first question they failed on. Holy shit!
What?
Sure,
now?
you got them.
It's not a hard
Excuse me?
question. Is the
You
universe
guys
an
have played-
isolated system or not?
We're having Socratic method. Y'all have quit. He's asked you a question and you guys have put
From what I asked.
But the question is, what is it expanding into?
Why are we moving away from the question I asked Chemo to start with? Chemo,
Well, Lemon's here now.
outside of
Hi,
the
Lemon. What's
sun,
going down?
and
Welcome.
Nobody gives a
also
fuck
notice
about
that the
Lemon.
sun is
Jesus
heating up
Christ.
the outside.
Lemon is here now.
What's the question?
Why do I have to do science to prove the sun is heating up outside when I can feel it?
Lemon, we're trying to teach them
I'm
some
answering
science.
Leo, so y'all are gonna have
No,
to
I
work
asked
with me. I'm
Chemo.
gonna
You're
have to
not
repeat
Chemo.
this
Be
3
quiet.
times.
Order.
You're not gonna let the conversation progress.
Wait.
Emo is deferring to Lemon.
Yes.
So Lemon, go ahead and teach these guys some science. Pick out any hypothesis / experiment you want and just run through the steps just so they know how science works.
Imagine being on the same team as Lemon.
Leo's
Holy
very
shit!
spurgy. I don't really want to enter in on this if Leo's just going to spurg and keep the conversation from going. So, Chemo, could you answer the dude, please?
No,
Thank you.
Chemo never answered my question. We went off in the weeds, and I'm going back to the discussions to get it answered. If I go out and observe the sun, and I also observe that the heat from the sun is heating up the ground and everywhere I live at, then why do I need to do an experiment to prove that that's happened?
Because something else could be happening coincidentally. Maybe the heat is already in the atmosphere, and at best, the sun is just coincidentally there. Maybe it's already heated up because of, I don't know, the atmosphere, the ether or something, and the sun is just coincident to it.
And I also observe at night that it's cooler than when the sun is out, so I can link it directly to the sun. Why do I need to do an experiment on the sun itself to prove that the heat is coming from the sun?
Why would you have to do an experiment on things that are empiric?
No,
There's two different types of evidence. There's scientific evidence and empirical evidence. Why would you do a scientific experiment on things that are obviously empirical?
Exactly.
Because chemo, I'm going back.
No, that was the point. There was no experiment.
Why sky's blues now?
What is the experiment? I don't need to do an experiment on something that I know for a fact.
Something that you observe, yes.
Well, that's the essence of science. You double check just in case a bunch of coincidences are going on, and you're wrong. Maybe the sky is blue because of something else.
The sun is a physical object. We sent probes to the sun. We have time-lapse video, 4K of the sun.
Wait, who cares about that?
Sure we do.
I can go outside every day during night, and it's cooler during the night than it is during the day when the sun is out. Therefore, I link the heat to the sun. I don't need
linked,
to
but
do
we have
any
to double
type
check
of
the link.
other experiment than that.
Okay, it is linked, but we can do experiments just to double check the linkage. That's all. That's the essence of science.
What experiment?
We would have to touch the sun, preferably burn something up in the sun and get as close to it as possible.
Yeah, it's called. Have you ever used a magnifying glass to burn an ant or a piece of paper?
Well, I'd like to throw something into the sun, preferably.
Then
we want to play Icarus.
Because to get close enough for you to get close, or a human being to get close enough to literally throw something into the sun, they would burn up.
I think the firmament would be in the way. I think the rest of the narrative is probably bogus lies. But other than the firmament being in the way, I guess
inside the firmament.
According to the Bible, yes.
I agree with Lemon. I would love to throw a few things into the sun.
Me too.
You always got to go there, Termin. We accept it. Let's move on. Chris, are you satisfied with the answer? Now can we get back to science? Science.
I was doing science there. Okay. I observed two separate things, and therefore I linked the sun to the heat.
How are you going to test it?
I like how you deferred to someone and never actually answered the question, Chemo.
Do we need to test it, Chris?
Yeah, I test it every single day when I go outside, and it's hot outside during the daytime when the sun is out, and it's cooler outside when the sun is not out, when it's night.
Do you have a hypothesis for this? We got your natural different. Do you have a hypothesis?
No, it's a fact. I don't need a hypothesis, Jeremy.
Then why are you trying to science the fuck out of it?
Well, the thing is, you got to have first causes. So you can't make hypotheses or experimental frameworks unless you have first causes that you don't necessarily need to prove a cause for. You just accept them axiomatically. So I guess the next question is, what first causes are we just going to accept and work from without necessarily having to prove the crap
first cause is that the sun causes the heat and is made of matter and is physical.
The first cause is the
I don't know any of that.
I think
what's the problem with working
how
with
is
that?
it not made of matter? Can you give me an example of something not made of matter that produces heat?
Sun.
Is light matter?
Yeah, can you give me an example of
Is
something
light
that
matter?
produces light that is not
Is
physical?
light matter? Sorry.
Okay, Leo.
Yo, they didn't answer the first time.
They say it is.
Example on the earth.
They say it is matter.
That produces light.
No, they don't.
That is not physical.
It's not physical.
Is light matter?
Is light physical? Is light matter?
Yes, it's matter.
The source of light.
No, they actually say it isn't.
No, light is not matter. It is physical, but it's not matter.
Think of the audience, guys. Think of the audience.
Pretty sure it's matter without matter.
Think of the audience, guys. They can't hear
They're
you.
spiraling, Chemo. They're spiraling.
Yo, Lil, forget the sun. You're not ready for the sun, man. The sun's too hot for you. Come up with a different experiment we could run through.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious. Can some flat
This
earther
is
provide any
this is not
object
clear.
on Earth that produces light that is not a physical object?
A spirit.
A spirit. Come on.
You're not ready for the sun,
Yeah,
man.
the spirit. We can see ghosts
Drop
and
this
stuff
subject.
giving light on the
Drop it
camera.
like it's hot.
What are we seeing with these orbs and stuff on the camera? Ball lightning and stuff like that. They're physical.
Wait,
but they
how do
don't
we
appear to
see
be
those
matter that we
without
can
our eyes
touch.
which are physical? How do we see
can
those
see
without
it.
eyes which are physical? Lemon?
Yeah, but they appear to pass through objects. They appear to be ethereal. That you appear to be able to see through them. They appear to have
I have to
non-physical
see them
properties.
with a physical object that has light going into it.
This is shifted now, though. You're saying something that's material that gives off light that isn't matter, but it's something that you see through, that passes through objects. How do we even know it's material if it's not making contact with anything? Now we're shifting to say we see it, therefore it's physical. This is kind of shifting.
No.
Touch it.
I'm saying things that produce light are physical. Our eyes don't necessarily produce light, but they receive light and see those physical objects. You need something physical to see something either ethereal, as you like to say, or something that's physical.
Are rainbows physical?
Okay, well, by that definition, then you can see it with your physical eyes, and I guess everything's physical now. But I thought physical was you could touch it, and it makes contact with the physical object. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Not
like a
just
light
visual.
bulb produces
Like a
light.
light.
Through electricity, it produces light, and I see the light.
And it produces heat also.
Yeah, and it does produce heat.
Okay,
So
well,
let's
there
see
are things
something
that we can't touch
let's
and
see
sense
something
that we can
non-physical
sense
that
indirectly.
produces heat. Is there anything that's non-physical that
Non-physical.
produces heat?
What's the difference between heat and light?
Energy.
How so?
Because some light doesn't exert as much energy or produce that much heat.
Yeah, so what's the difference between heat and light?
I just told you.
If you have less energy, you have less light, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Really? So you could have a lot of light with low energy?
Yeah. LED lights don't
Example,
produce that
please.
much heat. LED lights don't produce that much heat.
Yeah. Why is that?
Their brightness is not dictated by the thermal output.
Why is that?
I would argue
but not
Because is it intensity power over area?
B-ball.
So how do they have more intensity but not power?
B-ball
You're conflating thermal energy with luminance.
The light in the light bulb itself, the light that protrudes from a light bulb doesn't produce the heat. The electricity going into the filament, heating up the filament, is what produces the heat.
Okay.
It's also
Am I
about
correct or
coherence.
incorrect?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
So
But it's
when
also about
electricity is passing
I
through that
I
filament
would
in
argue
that
we
area,
see the
wouldn't there
light, but
be
the light may,
heat?
in fact, not be the actual heat? It's the filament in the light bulb that is the heat. Is that correct or incorrect, B-ball?
Why you guys
Or
quizzing me,
curved, or
Ball?
any flat earther? Hey, Damon the Idiot's here. He'll know.
Oh, he's on your side, Lale. And that's like the pot calling the kettle black, to be honest.
No, he told me he wants he wants to be called the idiot. Capital T.
Okay.
One of the
Right,
most
Damon?
popular misconceptions is that LED bulbs don't produce heat, in which case this would be physically impossible.
We said they don't produce much heat. They don't produce a lot of heat.
I never said they didn't. I
Let's see
said
here.
that the light itself doesn't produce the heat. It's the filament inside the light, or the electricity traveling through the light that causes the light bulb to heat up and produce heat. The light itself may not be producing the heat.
You may notice that the lamp is cool when you touch it, but the heat is usually accumulated on the inside, and that's why most people think that LED bulbs don't get hot.
Why are you reading us stuff?
So you can learn.
No.
Fucking idiots.
Stop reading.
Does my oven brighten up because it gets hot inside?
Yes.
Listen, I'm not saying that all heat is light, but light is heat.
Think about that statement again.
Yeah, it's not hard to understand.
Bearded
Light
Devil, the
and
answer
heat
to your question
must
is yes.
Light is heat. Light is radiation,
Light-
which is a type of heat.
light
Not
and
all heat is light.
Must light and heat must come from something physical.
I don't know about that.
There's nothing that produces heat or light that is not physical.
Yeah, on terra firma, but who knows if the skies operate with a different set of rules?
No, they don't.
Does it God created the heavens and the earth. Maybe they have two different rule books.
This is the plight of the flat Earth, making up crap because they don't want to accept truth.
No, it's not making up crap. It's actually being honest because we don't know shit about the stuff in the sky. So it's not being ignorant.
They already had to change the natural. They already had to change the natural laws for how space was working.
Yeah. And they also put them on hold so that the planets could form in the first place.
Wait, if we don't understand the sky, how can we use airplanes in the sky or helicopters in the sky?
Wow.
Lael, you're off topic. That's not what.
You guys have already changed the natural to make the sky work differently than how we observe natural laws.
It's because you guys choose not to want to know. That's why you don't know.
Sure.
You choose to deny what you know.
B-Ball, do you choose to concede that you were wrong about light being heat?
We get denied. We get oppressed. We say we want more video, and you say, nah, fuck that. That's not what the experiments are going to Mars for, to show you the middle of space. We want all of it. We want all of it.
And then we show it to you, and you say, it's just CGI.
Do you choose to concede that you were wrong about light being heat or not being heat?
Show me something that can produce heat that's not physical.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about light being heat. You said no, because LEDs. And LEDs create heat just on the inside.
Yes.
So you admit now that light is heat, right?
Show me something that produces light and heat that is not physical.
Light and heat is redundant again, because light is heat.
Your argument is based off
like
of
the
luminance.
The light produces heat.
Okay, so as long as you agree.
How about this? Provide something on Earth that produces light and heat that is not made of matter.
Why do you say light and heat? You can't have light without heat. So just say produce light.
Perfect. Now produce something on Earth that,
but seriously,
produces heat that is not made of matter.
Produce heat that's not made of matter. You mean the heat itself isn't made of matter? Because I could do that with light.
No. Provide a object on Earth.
You mean the source?
That produces light that is not some type of matter.
Your wording is still off. That could still be interpreted as
the
light that doesn't have matter.
Produce something on Earth that's
just
an object.
Raise his argument for him.
Basically, he's saying produce light from an object that doesn't have matter.
Quit changing how it's worded.
I'm fixing it for you. It's produce light from an object that doesn't have matter.
Produce something on Earth that's an object that produces light that is not made of matter. Go.
All light isn't made of matter. I worded it properly for you, man.
The source of the light. The source of the light has
Show me a thing. Show me a thing that isn't matter. Go.
No, quit changing my words. I worded it how I wanted it worded.
Look, you've already concluded that
because you guys are idiots and won't answer the question.
Well, just make it bigger though. Show me anything that isn't matter. Well, anything. Show me.
The sun's a physical object and it produces light and heat. Thank you.
We can't confirm that. Can either confirm or deny it.
You can prove that how?
Well, we can deny it, but we can't confirm it.
You can't prove it's tangible. When you said physical, did you mean tangible?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you can't. No, you can't prove it.
I can provide evidence that it's
so
made
the
of
sun
matter.
produces light. Wait. The sun produces light, and it produces heat. So you guys think it's not physical?
Light is heat. Stop saying them both.
Tangible or physical?
It's not just an effect. How do you know that's not an effect that's just associated with the sun? It's not the actual sun giving it.
Really?
Do you mean tangible or physical?
Yes, it's tangible. You want to take a flight to it and touch it? You could.
You can't touch it. That's what makes it intangible.
That's not how that works, Jeremy.
You don't have to touch something to make sure that it's tangible.
So again,
you have to be able to touch it.
Again, let's go back to this. There's nothing on Earth. There's nothing on Earth or in the universe that produces light and heat that is not physical.
Does something have to be tangible? Do you have to be able to touch something in order to be tangible?
Can you touch clouds?
Has anybody been able to touch a hologram before?
Has anybody able to touch clouds?
Have you touched a hologram before? Is it tangible?
The sun's not a hologram.
Yeah.
No, you guys are saying everything is tangible. A hologram you
The
can
sun
see.
is
Can you
not
touch it? It's
tangible.
not tangible.
The sun is not a
Projected on a
hologram.
tangible object.
The sun is not
I'm just
a
proving to
hologram.
you
If
not
you're going to
everything's
claim that it
tangible.
is, you have to provide evidence.
Everything is physical, though.
Proving to you that not everything is tangible.
It's physical.
No, so hologram's physical.
Yeah.
I
Of
love
course.
these literal.
What is a hologram? Flatside.
Your argument is stupid because I can't walk up and touch you right at this instant. Therefore, you're not tangible.
Something that's not tangible can produce light and heat.
Stop saying both of them, man.
How come they're...
Either way, show me
why are
something
they
that
so afraid of my
can produce heat
question?
that's not physical. Show me
Why are
something
they
that
so
can
afraid of
produce
my
light.
question? What produces light and heat that is not made of matter on this earth? Go.
All light isn't made of matter.
Dude, he didn't ask that.
Listen to my
Light is
question.
matter.
You did not listen to my question. What produces
Jeremy,
light
Jeremy
and
percentage.
heat
Do you guys
that is not
do you guys
made of
realize?
matter?
Do you guys, Jeremy and
The answer
and,
to your question
percentage, do you
is love.
realize these
Love
guys are
produces
actually
light and heat.
confirming that
They're not made
Hold
of
on,
matter.
Flattoy.
Love.
containment?
Would you say
Everything is
Flattoy? We didn't catch any of
It's
that,
got
bro.
matter. Hmm.
We didn't catch any of that. Somebody,
I'm
you were
saying
getting.
you see that.
We didn't say it.
I'm breaking up.
No, I just
Go
you
ahead,
were getting
you're
talked
good.
over.
Can you give
That's
me
why
an
they can't hear you.
example of feeling love without having something physical to feel it with?
Yeah, but love itself is intangible, creates light and heat.
Yeah, everything has to be contained.
But how would you know you?
Yes.
How would you know that unless you felt it before? Which the thing that you felt it with is physical.
That's what she said.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
So physical barrier then, containment, great.
Container.
All right,
Container.
but
You can just blurt it out
show
anywhere.
me that.
You want
Show me
just
that
hey,
love
put it in a
produces
container.
light and heat.
Oh yeah, that's the harder part. I can't really do that.
Here comes Flattoy's go-to argument.
Provide evidence that love produces light.
I just
and
told you
heat.
that I can't
Oh
really
my
do that.
God,
That's the hard
Leo.
part.
Perfect. Now provide evidence on Earth that something that produces light and heat is not made of matter.
Well, we can just change the natural laws that were how
No,
the sky works, just like you guys do.
Quit changing
Just
the
like
subject.
you,
Answer
just
the
like you
question.
guys do, Lale. Lale, we can
I'm
just
not
change the
changing
laws
anything.
just like you guys do.
Leo, the answer is nothing. There's nothing.
Nothing on
The
terra firma.
holograms. Do you guys know holograms?
Yeah, but if we need to, we can just change the
have
laws of
The
how the sky
source-
works, like you guys do.
Flattoy, the
Just-
source
just
of the
like you guys.
hologram produces heat.
No, you said show
It's
me.
light.
anything
Holograms
that
made of
has-
light.
The
that is
source
light.
of the light. The source of the light produces heat. So
The light
But
itself is
if you're
heat.
gonna actually measure, if you're gonna take the temperature of the hologram itself, it also has heat, and that's not coming from the source; it's coming from the hologram itself.
but the source. Without the source, there is no light. Without the source,
Yeah, but
there
the
is no
hologram
light.
is made of
We can also
light.
play this game and say we can also play this game and say then the source is the dome.
Without the source, there is no light, and there is no heat.
And I
Great. So
might
you
add,
you
to
confirming you
produce
need
a
containment.
hologram, you need something physical.
But Lale, what you're doing here is an affirming the consequent fallacy. You're saying that because everything that produces light on terra firma, has matter. That means that
creating
the
a
stuff in the
straw man.
sky
No,
that
no,
produces
no.
light have matter.
What
But you don't know that.
What I said is provide evidence of something that produces light and heat, or if you want to call that the same thing, go ahead. That is not made of matter. Go.
Yeah, aside from the stuff in the sky, which we don't know about, there's nothing.
A spirit produces light, and when it's around, it makes the air cold.
Leave it to Lemon to bring the woo.
Hey, it is what it is.
Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Woo!
I'm kind of curious. Is this spirit made of some type of matter?
They used to say it was protoplasm, but really we need to do some more research.
More research. Which means more YouTube videos.
Your basic answer is yes, but you need to do more research.
Well, we can't just let these materialist atheist scientists, set the framework. They're very limited in their approach, and they're not going to find an answer because their paradigm to find the answer is inadequate. We need the spirit.
Tell them about the demonic legion, no Lemon.
I got you. Lil, I got an answer for you, by the way. I got an answer
boy,
for you.
Poe, why don't you interrupt?
Hallucinations.
Tell Layla's answer, you fucking twat.
What was that, Leo?
Stone's still mad we roasted him earlier.
I'm loving Leo's new mic. He's coming in loud and clear.
He sounds very handsome, this new mic.
Very.
Thank you, Kosho.
You sound like a fine young gentleman.
You sound like a fine young Brenda.
Thank you, Kosho.
Oh, you're terrible.
Are you calling me Kosho or I didn't hear Kosho.
I don't know why they say you guys sound similar.
Thank you, my honey Kosho.
I don't think Kosho's here.
Hey, Percentage, you said something that's interesting.
What's up?
You said that it's affirming the consequent fallacy or whatever fallacy that we say that everything that's physical here doesn't mean that it's physical up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we can only have gas pressure in a container over here, does it mean that in the sky we can't have gas pressure without a container?
Yes, to claim that absolutely a container is up there is affirming the consequent fallacy.
Oh, good.
It's not affirming the consequent, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's natural law.
It's a generalization.
It's natural law on terra firma, but we can't confirm the natural law up there.
That's not affirming the consequent.
So you're saying the sky is not part of our terra firma?
I'm saying that
the skies, yeah, like the celestial objects and stuff, we've never once been up there to actually, confirm anything. So we don't know if they're part of our natural laws or not.
What I'm trying to tell you, 7%, is that affirming the consequent is something different than you think it is. It's not. You haven't correctly identified what that is.
Call me crazy, but
affirming the consequence when you say an if-then statement,
then
and the second part of the then statement is true, so you then assume the first part is true.
Yeah.
So you have to say something like,
hey, let's back out. Let's back out. And
so
let the
all
flight
light has matter. We see light, therefore matter. That's the.
No, but what's the if? What's the if then?
Light doesn't have matter.
What's the if then %?
The claim here is that on Earth, everything that creates light has matter. So if we have light up there, then matter.
We have light.
That's affirming the
We
consequent.
have matter. So then affirming the consequent, we say we have matter, so therefore there must be light. That would be affirming the consequent.
No, it's the other way around too.
Look it up. Just look it up.
I don't need to.
It's so
He
hard.
doesn't need to,
You just
Scott.
you don't know things, and when you get corrected, you pretend like you're right.
Sorry, percent.
If matter creates light, and we have light, therefore matter. That's basically what they're saying in the sky. So it's affirming the
If
consequent.
matter creates light, then you say if there's light, there must be matter. That be affirming the consequent.
That's exactly what I just said. You got to pay attention.
Okay, but that's not what originally was said before.
It is. I just said it the other way.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You said it differently.
not what I
I said if light comes from matter, i.e., matter creating light. Same thing.
What other consequence could we affirm?
What's that?
You guys are misrepresenting me again. I asked a simple question. Is there anything that produces
Hold up,
light
hold up,
and
Leo. Lemon
that
was
is not
talking.
made of matter?
There are no
Lemon
simple
was talking.
questions for these.
Go ahead,
Leo,
Lemon.
we're trying multiple ways to answer your freaking question, but you're not accepting them unless they're highly explicit. The answer was spirit and light. But then you shifted the question to say everything that doesn't matter. So at that point, I don't know what to tell you.
Correct, Lemon. It could just be supernatural.
I asked a simple question: are spirits made of some type of matter?
No, it's supernatural.
As far as I can tell, we don't know. They tried to say that it was protoplasm back then, but I think that theory fell out of fashion.
So, Leo, if we're not adding any matter, and we have more light and heat, right? Does that count?
The sun.
If it comes from an object of matter, but we're not adding any matter, but we're adding light, does that count?
Yeah, if the sun's made of matter,
no,
then
not the
it's
sun.
a physical object.
I'm saying physical object on terra firma. If it has matter, but it doesn't have light or a specific type of light, and then you add light but no matter, does that count?
As long as we agree that the sun is made of matter.
So basically,
yeah.
what I'm getting at is, like, imagine you have a person who's crazy, and obviously he's made of matter, right?
That's you,
and he
right?
hallucinates a
You're the
warm
crazy
light.
one, right? That's you, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there's light.
I mean, it is for him, right?
Well, it's the imagination, but it's not really for him.
Perception is reality.
Imagination is not reality.
It is.
Perception is not reality.
It isn't though.
No, because you're not. There is no light because there's no interaction with the eye. That's just
What do you mean?
brain.
He sees it. He literally sees it.
He doesn't.
Brain sees it, but not through his eyes.
Schizophrenics literally see
In their brain,
whether or not
they
it's
do, but
there
they
or
don't
not, they
actually
actually see it.
No, they don't.
It's
They
about
don't
internal
literally
belief. It's
see
not about
anything.
actually seeing it. You can't put some sort of sensor up next to their eye and see that they're seeing things. It doesn't work.
So as
Yeah,
an,
of course
as
you
an
can.
example,
That's why it's a hallucination.
yeah,
No,
but they
just-
don't
they see
actually.
it in their brain.
They see it in their
Yeah,
brain.
see it in their brain. Exactly. Everything we
And-
see is in our brain.
Yeah, but it doesn't go through the eyes.
Oh my god.
Doesn't
There's
matter.
no light. Well, that
They
means
still
there's
see
no
it.
light. Well, there's no
There's
light
no-
though.
Scott, can I offer something on this?
Go ahead.
So there was a guy who was there was a case study about a schizophrenic guy. He was like a business guy, had a schizophrenic break, ended up hospitalized. He was hallucinating snakes everywhere, just snakes, just all over the place, freaking out, right? So he was. This was probably back.
Were they on a plane?
No, he was not on a plane.
He's a businessman. He never took, flights.
Oh, well, he probably took plane flights. Yeah, maybe he was on a plane. Maybe he saw.
Just don't let it distract you.
Yeah, there's a greater than zero chance that he saw snakes on a plane. But one of the they tried traditional treatments and whatnot. It didn't really have much of an effect. So this guy came in. They got him off of his meds because they wanted him hallucinating. And they got like a barrel of like these really realistic snakes that were like realistic rubber snakes and put them all over his room. And they brought in like this boa constrictor and they had it like hanging from the shower. And that was a real snake. It was a tame snake, but a real snake. And they brought the guy in and they said, look, we'll let you out of the room. All you have to do is tell us which snakes are the real snakes, which snakes are the fake snakes, and which snakes are the hallucinated snakes. And the guy very, very quickly was like, hallucinated snakes, fake snakes, real snake, right? So he was able to differentiate because the hallucinations are not exactly the same as seeing things. There is a difference. The difference is more that the brain is temporarily unable to distinguish between what's being seen as real and what isn't. But there is a different quality to things.
There's another explanation.
When he was later asked, one of the things that he had said is he could tell the difference because the hallucinated snakes were translucent.
There you go. I was going to say there's another
really
explanation that the
they were in
hallucinated
his mind's
snakes are a
eye.
different color or they look different from the other ones. But if,
Right, because
if
there
the
was
ones
no
they put
light.
in the room
It
look
was-
like
it was
the
purely
hallucinated ones,
internal.
then could he have told the difference? I doubt it.
But this is a brain
Oh,
thing.
ideal.
It's not a light thing. There is no light interaction. And even when you
ideally-
talk to people who work with pretty severely hospitalized schizophrenics, they're not going to say that perception is reality. Although you may hear people say that it can be useful to treat a delusion as though it's reality, sort of working from that person's reference frame as a methodology of treatment. But nobody would posit that it is in fact reality simply because they're perceiving it. That's
Bro,
just
I
not-
appreciate your like what you said and stuff, but to be real, you're working with a faulty premise because the techniques that they put in did not look the same. And that's why you can tell the difference. If they look the same and they moved or whatever, then he wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So I agree with you. It's all in it's all in his head.
They won't look the
But
same
your
is the
premise was
point.
faulty.
They won't look the same because they aren't the eyes. The eyes aren't responsible. They're more of an idea of a perception that somebody convinces themselves is real, but they're not actually seeing it. It's hard to explain if you haven't experienced it, right?
Everything you see,
well,
it goes into your optic
like
nerve,
hearing
goes into
sound,
your,
if you're-
chiasm, it goes into the different centers of your brain, right? To the occipital lobe, to your visual cortex. And if that's affected, like, it doesn't matter what's physically there. If they tap into any, if they tap into any, part of the brain that is in this like neural pathway or into the occipital lobe or whatever it is, then he's gonna it's gonna be as if he's seeing it literally.
Yeah, so it's not. It's an entirely different part of the brain. Like you're if you look at like
so here's the
fMRI,
question: how would he have told the difference if they looked and moved exactly the same?
if they looked and moved exactly the same, they would have been real.
No,
they don't.
Not necessarily.
Senses the difference. His
If they
brain knows
matched,
the difference.
let's
The
say,
brain is making the difference.
okay, let's say in his brain,
The brain is that really the thing that's going on is that he's having an idea or a thought, sort of a fixation caused by whatever is misfiring in the brain that's latched onto the concept of snakes and generates sufficient anxiety and panic to remove someone's functional ability to interact with people, right? But that's not the same as that being real, right? I mean, obviously the snakes can't bite him just because he sees them, right?
Well, ideally, it would interact with.
There is no
argument
light.
from ignorance, bro.
No, I mean,
Well,
it's like my
ideally,
girlfriend's. My
It's
girlfriend's
not an
dad.
argument from ignorance.
Yeah, you're saying
my
this is the
girlfriend's
case, but you
dad
have no
hears
proof for
things.
it.
My girlfriend's dad hears things, and he knows that those are not real sounds, but he believes them. I mean, he can differentiate between the real sounds and the ones that are generated in his head.
Yeah,
he can.
that happens sometimes.
He knows. Yeah, and those are not real voices. Like the one who sees the snakes, he doesn't see the snakes. It's just brain malfunction.
Yeah, sometimes you can, like, you have mild or whatever, and you can differentiate, or if you're medicated or what have you.
Your capability of differentiation doesn't change reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I guess the question would be, is it being generated outside of the head? Is it coming from reality? Is it interacting with something else that's real? It's good to have like some sort of standard for what's real and have like another real person who's like, hey, are you seeing this or is this just me? Are there multiple people seeing this, multiple real things interacting with this? I guess the gold standard is whether something else that is real can interact with it or not.
Yep.
I agree.
And that's actually correct, Lemon.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't answer the question. If they matched the fake and real snakes that they introduced into the room to look exactly like his hallucinated snakes, and he wasn't like, he didn't have a mild case where he could differentiate between stuff, then how could he differentiate between it?
Because the brain is still on some level aware that one set of information is passing through the optic nerves and the other set of information is being generated internally.
Yeah, that's how they differentiate if it's mild, but a lot of schizophrenics, don't have that capability. Unless you're claiming that all schizophrenics have the ability to differentiate between what's real and what's not.
Under the hood, it's still the same thing. Really, it comes down to what their level of communicability is, right? Like, are they able to articulate the distinctions that they're seeing? It doesn't necessarily mean there are none.
So you're saying every single schizophrenic has the capability to differentiate between what's real and what's not? They just
That's
don't
literally the opposite of what I said.
It's really not.
If I said something and I'm telling you it's the opposite, I'm pretty sure I can determine that for myself.
Bro, you just said that, regardless of how sick they are or whatever, the brain on like a level knows if it's real, if it's coming through the
whether or not
the
they're
retina
cognitively
or not.
aware of that and have access to that information or are able to articulate it is very different.
Okay, so that's absolutely not useless then. So they can't differentiate. There's some that can't differentiate, basically.
Yeah, in no way does that mean that there's suddenly light interacting with them.
What are you talking about, bro?
There's no physical. There's no physicality to.
Let's say you have a schizophrenic that can't differentiate, and you match the snakes to look exactly like the hallucinated ones. How is he going to differentiate?
How are you going to match the snakes to look like the hallucinated ones?
What?
How are you going to match the snakes to look like the hallucinated ones?
You find out what the hallucinated ones look like, and you match it.
How are you going to find that out?
By asking the dude, how did the snakes that you see look?
and they may not be able to articulate that. The whole point of the example...
You ever seen a police sketch? Do you really think you can be able to articulate exactly how it looks?
Yeah, hypothetically, if you're matching it, how could they differentiate? The reason I said he was able to differentiate is because they didn't look the same.
You said you started this by saying
he was claiming that you could differentiate just on account of it being a hallucination or not.
But the truth is if there's no signals going through the eye, then they probably sense that, know that, and can tell which ones have the signals, which ones don't.
Are you speculating, or are you making a positive claim?
I'm saying that's probably true.
Okay,
it's probably true in. I would think it's probably true in nearly every case. I don't know if there are particular types of brain damage that could, or particular malfunctions that could change that. But in most circumstances, I would say that would be the case. Right. And certainly an fMRI could tell, because different centers of the brain light up when you're dealing with a hallucination and when you're dealing with the optic nerve, right? Like the level of activity is different.
I mean, that would be for us to be able to differentiate, but we know.
Sure. So what is the point you're trying to get at?
The point I was getting at is that these hallucinations are created in the brain, and if you match this whatever he's hallucinating with like real and or fake or whatever things, this person won't be able to differentiate.
Okay, what's the larger point you're trying to get at?
Basically that you're wrong.
No. I mean, if you're positing, if you could hypothetically somehow create things exactly the same as someone's hallucinations in reality and somehow be able to modify those things so that they match the nature of hallucinations, which don't tend to be very solid. Like there tends to be
I'll do that.
Modification. Like okay. Most schizophrenics, there's variation in the level of hallucination, right? It's not like day to day it's identical. So if you could somehow predict the level of hallucination that they were going to be at, what hallucination they were having, and somehow twin it, then sure, I guess hypothetically they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But I don't know. You might as well posit magic technology. You know, if we could fly, then we wouldn't need cars. Like it's
Let me ask you, what do you think was the point of this little test or experiment or whatever that they did with this schizophrenic dude?
Yeah.
What do you
wouldn't
think?
get away with that today, by the way. That this happened, like I said. I think. It was
What do you think was the point of it?
This was part of a series of experiments that were done with what was considered people in the chronic ward that were, they just basically kept them on maintenance on electric shock and Thorazine. And some of the doctors around that time were like, there has